Hi everyone, my name is Margaret, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet the half double crochet stitch back and forth in rows. If you want my complete beginners crochet 101 video, I'll link that down below, as well as my beginner crochet playlist. Today I'm working with a 4.5mm hook. It's also called a size 7. And the yarn I'm using is a 100% cotton yarn, and it is plied. So it's the type that's kind of ropey looking. If you want to use a similar thickness, this one is a worsted weight, also known as a medium weight or a weight 4. For half double crochet, we still need to make our foundation chain out of chain stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to make my swatch today to be 10 stitches across. So I'll start with 10 chain stitches. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is my foundation chain. And then for my next row, I'm going to start working the half double crochet stitches going back across. And for this first row, I'm going to attach my half double crochet stitches to the back loops only of the chain. So each chain is a V. I'm only going to attach it to kind of that further side. So with single crochet stitch, every time you start a new row, you would add one extra chain stitch to be that turning chain. Half double crochet stitches are a little bit taller than single crochet stitches, so I usually would recommend doing 2 extra chain stitches for your turning chain. So that way kind of your hook's starting height, if you want to consider it that way, will be a little bit taller like that. You can also just do one. Maybe you might make it a little bit looser. It's just personal preference. You can go with 1 or 2, but I would recommend sticking to whatever you pick for your whole project. So from here, because I added those 2 extra chains to act as that turning chain, my first half double crochet stitch, I'm going to attach here to the 3rd chain from the hook. And because I want to attach it to that back loop only, I'm going to slide my hook into the center of the stitch and out the back, just like that. So for half double crochet stitch, instead of being made up of 2 loops that are joined together like a single crochet stitch, it's going to be made up of 3 loops. And that extra loop, we're going to go ahead and add it here right at the beginning. So before you insert the hook, you are going to yarn over. So remember, you go down in front of the working yarn and out behind. And now you can go ahead and insert your hook into the chain that you're going to attach the stitch to. So it should look like this. You've got your original working loop, that yarn over, and then the chain that you've stabbed into. So next, it's going to be the same as we did for single crochet. We're going to pull up a loop back through this chain. So yarn over and pull up 1 loop. So at this point, we've got 3 loops on our hook, and these are going to become our first half double crochet stitch. And to join them all together, you'll do 1 more yarn over, and then you will scoop through all 3, and that is how you finish your half double crochet stitch. So now that we're past our turning chain or turning chains, we're no longer going to be skipping stitches as we place the next stitch in. So in my case here, the next chain stitch is going to be this one right here. So I'll hold on to the chain right below it, and I'll make another half double crochet stitch. So I'll do a yarn over first, so down in front, up behind, and then I will insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop going back just through that stitch right there. So now I have 3 loops on my hook, and then I'll join all of those together by doing 1 more yarn over and pulling that new yarn through all 3 of those loops. So now I've got 2 half double crochet stitches on this current row. So let's keep going. Our next one is going to go right here. Again, remember, if there's a bit of a gap here, just because that's the biggest gap doesn't mean that's where the hook goes. You want to look for a chain that doesn't already have stuff attached to it. So yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Find our next stitch, yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over again, and pull back through so that we've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through all 3. So I have 5 half double crochet stitches right now, and it looks like this. So I'll go ahead and finish this row and we can take a closer look at the structure of our stitches. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull back through that older stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch. So you've got your 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And we've got 1 more here, so that's my slip knot, and I have 1 more V, so 1 more stitch to work into. So into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all 3. So that is 1 row, so I've got 10 half double crochet stitches like this. So right now I'm looking at the front side of the row. For all stitches, the row that you can see like as you're making the row is considered the front side, and then the other one would be the back side of the row. So let's take a look at the structure of our half double crochet stitches. So I'll pull out my hook here. So right now we're looking at the front side of the row. No matter what type of stitch you're doing, generally the side that you're looking at as you're crocheting the row is considered the front side, and then the other side here will be the back side of the row. So for the individual stitches, again, they're made up of 3 loops each. So same as with the single crochet stitch, there will be a top loop here, that little V, and then there will be a side loop or a little V on the side. So that's the one that's actually grabbing onto the previous row or whatever you were attaching your stitch to. And then that third loop is going to be this little diagonal guy that's hanging out in the middle. So that's the yarn that we did that first yarn over with before we inserted the hook. So here's another one. You can see there's the side, there's that middle loop, and then there's the top loop. And if we look at it from the back side, it looks a little bit more bumpy, but we can still see there are the side loops here that are grabbing on. We've got our top loops here, and then that third loop or the diagonal one in the middle is a little bit more visible. So one thing that I do want to call attention to, all of that anatomy aside, is that when you are working into an existing row of double crochet stitches, so here I've done my 2 turning chains and I'm about to start working another row of half double crochet stitches. if you had in your head, okay, I'm always looking for the letter V, I'm always looking for the letter V. Well, there's a bunch of V's here at the top edge, but you can also kind of see these ones here that are made up of this loop and this loop also are a bunch of letter V's. They do point in different directions, so the V's on the actual very top edge of your piece are going to be pointing in the direction you're going. The V's that you might see on the side, so these here are going to be pointing kind of backwards or towards your hook. If you're working into both loops, so if you're not sure about this front loop, back loop, both loops thing, go ahead and check out the single crochet stitch video. I go more into it there. But if you're working into both loops, just make sure you're always going into this V, so the one that's pointing in the direction you're going and is on the top, and not this V on the side. So this V you might accidentally go into if you go into that like third loop, that little diagonal guy in the middle. And then this one right here is actually the front loop, or what's considered the front loop of this stitch. So this V right here is a different V than this one, and it will make your stitches look different. You might find a pattern that does call for you to pick up these two loops or even just the third loop on the side. So you could do your back loop or your front loop, or you could work into the third loop. But you just want to be intentional about where you are stabbing your hook into, so everything stays nice and neat. So I'll go ahead and do one more row, starting from the end of the previous one. So I took out my turning chains there. So I'll put the hook back in. I'll turn my work and make those turning chains. So 1, 2 extra stitches. And you can't actually make your turning chain before or after turning, it doesn't really matter. So for the first half double crochet stitch, I'm going to skip these two and go into this one right here. So for this row, instead of working it just into the back loops like I did for the chain, I'm going to go ahead and work into both loops right here. So I'll yarn over, insert my hook under that stitch, yarn over, pull back through the whole stitch there. So I've got my 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So this is my first stitch. And if you're doing 2 stitches or 2 chains for your turning chain, just make sure that you're paying attention to which one of these guys is the top of your first half double crochet and which one was the turning chain. And if you're having trouble telling them apart, again, right as soon as you finish making the first stitch in a new row, you can go ahead and put that stitch marker into it. So the top of the finished stitch will be whatever this working loop is sprouting out from. Oop. So I'll go ahead and close this up. So now I have my first stitch in the row is marked. So let's keep going. Make sure that the working loop is in front of our hook. So our next stitch is going to go in here. That's the next open stitch. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull back through that stitch. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull back through. So you've got 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 of the loops. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop back through that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop by going through all 3 of those previous loops. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So it's looking like this so far. Yarn over, go in under both of the loops, which again is a choice I'm making in this case. Your pattern might call for you to go and make your half double crochet stitches just into the back loops or just into the front loops, or maybe even into that third loop. If they're asking you to do something a little bit unusual, they'll usually explain with more detail. But again, if they don't tell you which loop or loops to go into, the default is to insert that hook under the whole V, so both sides there. And then when you pull up your first loop, just come back all the way through that. So almost done. I've got 2 more stitches to do here. So 1 and 2 more. And let's count our stitches. So I'll pull that up. And here, if we count from this side, so this is where we started, we know that this is our first one because we have our stitch marker in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is the half double crochet stitch. So that was the front of the row here that we just finished. And if we turn it over right now, it looks like this. So that is our half double crochet stitch. Again, you can do 1 or you can do 2 turning chains at the edge there. Just pick one and be consistent. And if you do decide you like how it looks better with just 1 turning chain, remember, instead of skipping 2 stitches, because the idea is you're skipping your turning chain, you would just skip the 1 and work into that second stitch from the hook. So I'll do that here. So I just did 1 extra chain for my turning chain, and I'll work my first half double crochet stitch in this row right there. So you can see if I just do 1 chain instead of 2, that top of the turning chain's not quite as visible. This will make it so it might be a little bit harder to find the top when you're coming back this way because it's almost being eaten by the turning chain. But again, either way, if you are having trouble finding that first stitch, go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker. So I'm marking the top right as soon as you complete it, because at that point there should be no confusion. It's the only one there. One other tip I wanted to give is if you're finding that as you're doing that yarn over and insert the hook step that this working yarn is always like popping off like that, the way to fix that is to make sure you add enough tension and maintain it so that this working yarn stays straight somewhere behind your work. So if you start like this and you make sure to keep the finger that's tensioning this yarn out, so once you're set up there, if you hold still and you're just using the hook to manipulate all of this yarn, you can see as I'm pulling down forwards, because this is being just a little bit pulled backwards, it shouldn't pop off. So same as you're grabbing it here, same as you're pulling through. Make sure that your working yarn maintains this straight line. Again, you don't want to pull so tight that this is like stretching. You can pull too much. But if what's happening is as you're going through, you might not realize you're doing it, but if the finger you're using to tension here is kind of drifting inwards to help like stabilize or hold things, as that happens, you might drop it or it might just be loose and then it's more likely to pop off. So if you need to practice that, you can exaggerate a little bit once you're set up. Try really hard not to move your hand that's tensioning the yarn at all. So do really slow-mo, move just the hook with the right hand to yarn over. Keep your left hand still, keep it still, keep it still. Do not move this back down. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through. And that is easier said than done, but in the long run, it will be a lot more efficient and less frustrating if you're able to keep whichever finger you're using to tension your working yarn kind of hanging out behind and not have it keep drifting back in. So I'll go ahead and finish this row. So when I'm actually working, I am sort of moving both of my hands, but conceptually, it's important to kind of internalize that this all needs to stay still, even if, say, my whole arm or my wrist is moving. This right here, that working yarn, is always staying nice and straight and stable. So last one here, we've got our stitch marker and one more. Okay, so that is another row of the half double crochet stitch worked into both loops completed. And I can't find where I put them right now, but I'll go ahead and insert some clips of what the fabric looks like when you work that half double crochet stitch into just the back loops, just the front loops, into both loops, and even into that third loop before I sign off here. Hopefully that will help give you an idea of what your finished swatches should look like if you're trying those out. If this video was helpful or entertaining, go ahead and give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.